Good morning, guys, and I hope your week has been great so far. It's kind of a weird day for me today as I'm actually filming this on Tuesday morning, not knowing what has happened with all the election stuff that's going on, right? You might be happy or you might be sad depending on a ton of different variables that happened today. But one thing that I know, and we all have to remember, is that regardless of who's at the desk at the White House, God is still on the throne, and nothing, I mean nothing, surprises him. You know, I find such comfort in that. In a world where I flinch, like every time I see an update of the news on my phone, it seems like all we see is just more and more bad news from all over the world. And even in all that darkness, God is still at work redeeming hearts and saving souls. So guys, make sure that you're doing your part in that process as an ambassador for Christ. Now, this morning, Tuesday, we had our Ironworks at the church, and from our readings this past week, Daniel shared a really cool quote that came to him as he studied our readings in Ecclesiastes. And that quote kind of really resonated with me. And the quote was probably from a business book that he read at some point in time. I don't really know. I'd never heard it before myself. And as I was standing in line to vote this morning, I was trying to find out who said it originally. And I found a ton of different variations, but never really an original source. And the quote that he said was to control the controllables. You know, there's so many things in our lives that we get spun up about that we have zero impact on. When we take a very honest and real inventory of the things that we're able to control ourselves, that list comes in really short. And yet we spend so much emotion and so much time worrying about the things that are not on that list, right? Why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we lose sleep at night over problems that we can't directly fix? Why do we miss out on quality time with family and friends, stressing about issues that are out of our influence? It's because we want the illusion of control. We don't want to be apathetic at any point in time of things around us, but we also need to understand that we can't let the uncontrollable things devour our effort and our energy. You know, there's a passage in Philippians that speaks to this, and it's a verse that I repeat to myself pretty often. Philippians 4:6-7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus." Instead of being anxious about everything, guys, give everything back to God and trust that He knows what is best. And when we're able to do that and leave that issue in His hands instead of like snatching it back, we are promised a peace that passes all understanding. I don't know about you guys, but I welcome more of that kind of peace in my life. I'm tired of stressing over things that are out of my control. I find a simple contentment in knowing that I have a list of things I can control and that God isn't expecting me to take stuff off His plate and act like I can fix it all, right? You know, when Job questions God about the direction of his life in the Old Testament, God answers back with a loving but stern response. In Job 38, God says, "Who is it that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Dress for action like a man. I will question you, and you're going to make it known to me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determines its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it?" God goes on to ask Job where he was when we gave the oceans their limits, or when He set the planets in rotation. And I feel like I'm Job some days, asking God, why haven't you dealt with all these issues? When in reality, I'm asking about things that are way above my pay grade. It would be foolish for me to think I understand the bigger picture better than God, or instead of wasting time on emotions and things they're out of my control. I'm going to start my day off by figuring out what God has given me control over for today and what He wants me to do with it while I have it. And then when I focus on controlling the controllables, I'm going to find a peace and a contentment in that. And as we move into whatever the future holds today, it being Wednesday for you guys hearing this, know that God is still in control, right? He has a plan in everything that happens, the good, the bad, and in the in-between. Have a great rest of your week, guys. I pray that you're able to find that peace that Paul talks about in Philippians 4. We'll see you real soon.